artists! So I'm out today on a field trip, as you know, but I'm still here with you in spirit. I'm on your smartboard. So there are a lot of things you need to do to wrap up the value lesson. And the first thing I want you to do is make sure your value charts are done. So there were two that I asked you to do. If you look in your binder, not now, after this lesson, you want to go to your value scales using line. And you want to make sure this is done. This is probably completed enough. I'm going to be doing a binder check, so this is one of the things that you need to have in your visual journal. I'll come back to that in a moment. The next thing is, if you go to your project section, you're going to go to your Elements and Principles of Design packet, and you're going to make sure it's on the back of shape that your value scale is done. I already showed you how to do this in a previous video. If you don't know what I'm talking about, maybe you were absent or you weren't paying attention. But what you do is you're going to simply use the side of your pencil to smooth out the tone, and you're going to use an increased pressure in each one so that it gets slightly darker, slightly darker, slightly darker. So you see how this one's lighter than this one? No. You might have to make it darker. So your goal is going to be to make sure that you create a value scale using smooth tones and pencil. When you are done with that, you can do the same thing down here to create a sphere. Notice how I am shading. I'm going to fill the space. The bottom is darker. That's not done, right? So I have to smooth it out. I'm going to maybe need to turn my page. I'm going to press harder, just like in the picture here, for the reflected shadow. And I'm just using the side of my pencil. How am I making lighter values? I'm pressing lighter. So changing the pressure. This is a 6B, nope, a 4B pencil. 6B would be fine, but probably definitely a B pencil for this, not an H. Right under the object is going to be ultra dark. It's called the cast shadow. It's the shadow that's cast onto the table, the surface. And then I'm going to smooth it out and press lighter as it gets further away from the object. I'm also going to add a little tone behind the sphere. One way I could smooth it out is I'm going to take a tissue and I'm going to smooth it. Now what you probably noticed is I made one value. So what you do when that happens is you just simply go back over the darker values. Look at how it curves. You want to try and follow that same curve as in the picture. So you have your dark tones to your medium tones. If you're tuning me out, tune back in. I know it's not the most exciting stuff in the world, but it's, you know, if you want to learn how to draw, this is how you learn. Do these activities, you learn how to create different appearances. Now this is also a little bit too dark, so I'm going to use an eraser and I'm going to just add my highlight by erasing the highlight back in. And then blending it out. So your goal is to get this worksheet done. When you are done with that, the next thing you're going to do, next thing on the list, you want to get your still life done. 10th grade. I have an option for you. If you want, you could use charcoal. And 6th grade, you're going to use pencil. How you do this is you guys will have a picture in front of you that will help you because it's flattened already. Before we look at real forms, which we will do, you're going to notice placement and how to create the illusion of depth and space. So really quick, I am using a 4B pencil. Just really quick, I'm gonna lay this out. This might not be perfect, but I'm just trying to show you. So I know last week, or last class rather, you guys should have at least gotten that far, I hope, right? Figuring out where to place your objects. The next goal was to add shading. And a lot of you did a pretty good job. You started shading your objects. But I noticed some of you had like outlines like that. So that was something that we don't want to have. You don't want to have hard outlines around your objects. So if you have a hard outline, you can erase it. Just erase it first. You still see it, but you want to get rid of that hard outline. And then what you're going to do is you're going to use the side of your pencil. I need to sharpen it. And you're going to just color right over it. The whole thing. If you're using charcoal, you'll do the same thing with the Vine charcoal, 10th grade. If you don't know how to do that, you don't even know where to begin because you've never used charcoal before, then don't use the pencil. But if you've used charcoal before, you would use charcoal instead of pencil if you want to. Miss Gataz will have it and she will decide if you can use it or not. I've already talked to her about this and she knows it's an option for you. I know that some of you 10th graders might want a challenge, and this is a good challenge if you decide to use charcoal. And again, I'm doing the same thing I'm showing you now. I did the same thing. I went over the whole thing with charcoal. Then what you could do is you could actually blend it. That's what I did with the charcoal too, blended it. Now, there's a weird mark that happens. That's because my paper was really wrinkly. So you want to make sure when you're using the newspaper, the newsprint, or the paper towel, that it's nice and smooth. I can kind of remove those by erasing them. So it's not that big of a deal. If that happens to you, you just erase it and add the value again. So that's what I'm doing. All right. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna notice my picture here. Where's the light coming from? You're right, the left. So if the light's coming in from the left, then what I need to do is I need to lighten the left side of the objects. I'm just darkening the values a little bit before I do that. The background values. I'm going to use my eraser. And I'm literally just carefully erasing the left side of the cone. Then I'm going to use my pencil and I'm going to darken the right side of the cone, because that's where the light is furthest away. It's like the shadow part of the cone. Then I'm going to add a nice dark shadow under the cone and smooth it out. My sphere, same thing. I see the outline I had there, but it was really, really faint. You probably didn't even see it, but I saw a little outline, and I'm just kind of erasing to lighten it up And now what I'll do is I'll use the side of my pencil. It has to be a little bigger. There we go. Right underneath is the cast shadow. So if I press harder, I could see that a little bit better. And I see that it's a little bit darker on this side. Some of you are really struggling with the cube. That's because we haven't gone over perspective yet this year, but if you know anything at all about perspective, it's an illusion of depth and space on paper, but also with linear perspective, there is a horizon line, which is your eye level, and the eye level here, you see the top of the cube, and it almost looks like a book. So some people were making the box like this. It's not straight. It's actually angled. And this top and this bottom are both leading towards a vanishing point on the horizon line. So if you have no idea what I just said, don't stress. Just try and make the box look like the box here, because you'll learn. We're gonna be doing a lot of perspective with you soon. Okay, so what I did was I shaded this side that I saw, and then this side of the box is going to be really light. So I'm gonna actually erase that. You do not wanna have outlines, don't forget that. So you're gonna have to work hard to get rid of the outlines. Now, when you smudge, sometimes you over smudge, that's true. So you wanna make sure that, you know, you work back into it. Just because you smudge, not I'm smudged and I'm done, that's not the way it goes. You might have to work back in and rework the highlights or add darker darks. But with trying to make very smooth tones, there is some kind of level of toning that's gonna happen and smoothing. So now I'm gonna do my sphere. I'm lying. What am I doing? Cylinder. Okay, cylinder, same thing. Dark, medium, light. Cast shadow. Cast shadow. Smudge it out. Smudge it. Fix the highlights. Boop. Look at your picture if you're getting confused like I am. All right. Your goal is to try and mimic that picture, so you should be looking at that picture a lot. Straighten out any lines that look wonky. They should be nice and crisp. This is imperfect, but I know you're getting bored. So hopefully you understand what to do here. That looks wonky to me. I would probably smooth that out. And then maybe go on and add some more highlights here and there. I would notice where the ground is lighter too, and where there might be some lighter areas. Sometimes you have to erase and then smudge it so it becomes just a shade lighter. Or like what I'm doing right now is I'm just writing or rubbing the eraser on top to lighten a little bit, but not totally remove. And that's another way to create nice values. If you press harder with the eraser, you can go back to white. When you're working, it's really helpful to take your work and go like this. What am I doing? Looking at both papers. I'm looking back and forth. I'm realizing what looks good, what does not look good. And then I would just go back and keep working. Guys, artists work really hard. They do. And right now, you are artists. You are in art school. You are in art class with me. You might not want to be an artist in the future, but right now you're an artist. So you would need to start acting like an artist, which pretty much means, you know, working hard and observing your surroundings, observing what it is you're trying to draw, and just really, really, really focusing on your work. So good luck. Get this done today. Get this done today. And if you have time, practice drawing values. Have fun figuring out like some different designs. Maybe make your own value scale that's more creative than that. That would be fun. And then you're gonna be ready to work into your pizza chart. So have fun.